Hello, Mr. Gerard, Hjk Helsinki 92 from YouTube Media. I just want to ask you, what are we going to win this year?
55.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious.
Hello everyone, this is Hjk Helsinki 92 and today we are back with another brand new video. Today's video isn't just any recap, it's actually the first recap of 2019, so a bit of history there. It's also the first game after the winter break, after the Cowden beef fiasco involving cars and keys. But before we get any further into today's video, I just need to say that we are closing in on 25k, and as always, just a friendly reminder, if you can help get the last 50 towards 25k, make sure to be hitting that subscribe button and help the nation get there. I mean, Scotty Arfield loves it, look at him. Without any further ado, let's dive into today's video then, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Rangers 3, Helsinki 2. Now that was the final score, and if you missed the game, you might be sitting there saying 3-2, cheeky 5-goal further, CJ. Not really, it was a bit boring. But it served its purpose. That is what Gerrard's came out and spoke about, saying it wasn't necessarily about the overall performance or even the result. It was about getting the players minutes so they're ready for the second half of the season. And boy, did we do that. Everyone played. We made 11 changes in the second half, so this one's going to be a little bit different than my usual fan recaps. I'm not going to break down the entire game because there's no pretty much any point in actually doing that, but I will focus on some of the things I found interesting and I want your opinions on, so please get involved throughout the video. It's good to get your opinions out there, and that is what the channel is for. Now, where I want to start today's performance is something that everyone's been excited about, right? It's about Jermaine Defoe and Alfredo Morelos. They played together, and when I saw the team sheet, by the way, can we just say Jermaine Defoe, Alfredo Morelos, Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis, Scotty Arfield and Ryan Kent. Oh my, 55. Inject that lineup right into the vein because that was absolutely incredible and it gave everyone a boost. Twitter was just loving life, and again it was a 45 minutes where we got to see what could potentially happen. It wasn't a perfect performance, you could see clearly some of the players had rust, but there were some encouraging moments, and let's focus on the attack. Alfredo Morelos, Jermaine Defoe, how did it work? Can it work? Will it work? In my personal opinion, yes to all three. I found the performance actually quite encouraging. Now, I know neither of them scored. It wasn't a great performance from either two of them, but you saw glimpses of what their partnership could eventually grow into. And the reason I actually say that is because they offer two completely different things to the way we actually play. You've now got Jermaine Defoe standing on the shoulder of the defenders waiting to get the ball in behind, so that's given him a headache. He knows that he needs to stay level with his other defenders. You could see him constantly looking across his line. Defoe's waiting there for that ball in behind. And on the flip side of that, you've got Alfredo Morelos battling defenders, bringing the ball down and bringing others into play. I want to focus on Jermaine Defoe first because I've seen a couple of things on Twitter. People's like, Jermaine Defoe is like that, right? I've watched him play for Spurs for a very long time, and if you've ever seen him play, he will frustrate you for 7 to 8 minutes. He won't get involved. He's not Alfredo Morelos type of player. He's not going to get involved in everything. There's going to be 10-15 minute spells where he's just non-existent and you're scratching your head. But you know what happens after that? Do you know what happens when the ball goes into the box? The man's there to bury it into the back of the net. Now, he didn't score, but you saw his movement. He's very, very clever. In fact, he came very close with not only a left-footed shot, but an offside sort of chip shot over the top as well. Now, I'm not going to blame him for missing the chance out in the left on his weak foot. However, I'm more encouraged that his actual natural positioning instinct has got him in the right place at the right time. Again, he's not played a lot of minutes. That will come with game time and he'll get a bit sharper in front of the goal. But you can clearly see the man is hungry for goals, and that is what he's here for. He's not here for a holiday, and I think that's perfectly summed up by the fact that Ryan Kent was played through by, I believe it was Alfredo Morelos, right through. You've got Jermaine Defoe sitting like this, screaming for the ball to tap in on his debut. It was dream stuff. Ryan Kent, Harry Forrester's it, shoots it on his own, ends up hitting it directly at the goalkeeper, and Jermaine Defoe, in a friendly 45 minutes, just to give everyone minutes, went absolutely mental. And I absolutely loved it. The fact it was a friendly and he's still getting that wound up that he didn't get the pass to tap into the net, that is very encouraging for me. So Jermaine Defoe, I'm excited to see what he brings in the second half of the season. But how did his partnership link up with Alfredo Morelos? Like I said, complete opposites, but you can see there is something there. Morelos a couple of times tried to slip him through, that was sort of blocked by the defenders, but one of the most encouraging parts of that entire first half, in my opinion, is the ball was in our box. Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis and Scotty Arfield all involved both. One little touch pass in, it gets chipped out to Hjk Morelos right at the halfway line by Steven Davis, I believe. He brings it down. Now, normally what Morelos would do here would turn, try and beat someone, or hold the ball up and try and win as a foul. But now that he's got someone beside him, he does this without even looking, takes a touch, brings it down, and instantly hits a ball in behind the defender, which Jermaine Defoe's obviously waiting for. He's been waiting on that service the entire game. He's sprinting through. If it wasn't brilliantly read by the goalkeeper, that would have been the first goal from Jermaine Defoe and the first goal from the M&D's partnership. Terrible nickname aside, the blueprint is there for 55. But let's talk about the first goal of the game, and it came from Hjk Morelos. His assist, beautifully ran in the middle of the park, hit a deliciously weighted pass into Scotty Arfield, who timed his run perfectly, takes a touch and buries it into the back of the net. And I'm sitting here like this because it's Scotty Arfield and it's 1-0 to the Rangers. But then we done some Rangers hings. We conceded within 60 seconds of us scoring. Very poor defending. Just seemed to switch off completely. Very poor, and they make it 1-1 again 60 seconds after we score. And you might think to yourself, right, you can expect that in a friendly game, but the 60 seconds thing isn't over there. We end up doing it in the second half as well. Brilliant. But before we actually move on to defence further and discuss the new formation, how it looks from a defensive point of view, what did you think of the attack? Hjk Morelos and Jermaine Defoe? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, the defence, right? We're all excited about playing two up top. Woo! That defence was something, wasn't it? Even in the second half when we made all the changes, it just still wasn't quite right. The first half was obviously Andy Halliday, Joe Worrell and John Flanagan. That was our three centre halves, and I wasn't overly impressed, if I'm honest with you. I thought Joe Worrell didn't look like old firm Joe Worrell. It looked like that other Joe Worrell that annoys a lot of people. Just seemed to switch off a lot. His composure, again, there's going to be ring rust, and I understand that it's a friendly, but the way that he was exposed every single time by fake shots actually really scared me. And they could have been 2-3-0 up if it wasn't for some fantastic one-on-one saves by Wes Foringham. Shout out to him, by the way. Barely plays, but whenever he does, he seems to always put in a decent performance. But I'm not just singling out Joe Worrell, by the way. I thought Flanagan, I just feel so bad for the guy. Like, honestly, he's a right back, and he's never getting any games in his actual position. Plays at left back, now he's playing at centre half. Like, the synergy between him and Joe Worrell and even Halliday, there was massive gaps, massive spaces, and Helsinki took advantage of that a lot to get in behind the defence. Halliday ended up having to break off a one-on-one by using his great pace and awareness defensively. Shout out to him. But Joe Worrell, Flanagan get turned quite a lot. They got better maybe as the game sort of went on, if you're trying to be overly positive, but for me, the defence needs to be worked on for the next game. If this is the formation we're rocking and rolling with, we need to tighten up the defences, and we need to tighten up where we actually sit positionally, because it just seemed to be a bit all over the place. Now, the middle of the park was very neat and tidy, if I'm honest with you. I've said their names before, I'll say it again. Scott Arfield, Steven Davis and Ryan Jack. Again, there was no much intensity and much drive from the actual midfield, but I was very impressed with Steven Davis a couple of times, hitting 30-yard passes up and forward to get people involved. That is what we've been crying out for, someone to take a touch on the halfway line and hit a 30-yard diagonal. He hit two in the game, one beautifully for Tavernier and one to Jermaine Defoe that ended up hitting him inside the box. So there's some things to look forward to, and I'm excited to see how they actually play in a competitive match and when they're really busting their pan and wanting to control the game. The next player I want to talk about, in fact the last player I want to talk about, is actually going to be Ryan Kent. Now, we had the free roaming role in the first half. That's what Tom Miller from Rangers TV was talking about. And I just don't know, he just seemed to drift in and out the game. I think out wide he's much better because you can get the ball to him constantly. You know where he's going to be. In this free roll, he was drifting from left to right, and sometimes the game just sort of passed him by. And the one time he actually showed his true brilliance was when he cut in out from the wing, took a touch, fake shot, step over and hit the ball that was very well saved by the goalkeeper. That is the moment he showed his true brilliance, and it was out wide. So again, with this new formation, it's going to take time to adjust. I'm sure players will obviously get better at it, especially in competitive matches, but it's going to be interesting to see what we actually do with this free roaming role going forward. Now, I've sort of spoke about the first half. Now let's jump into the second half and break down the overall performances. Like I said, there was 11 changes, and it sort of showed because the intensity even dropped further than it did in the first half. I think the quality of the first half, some of the movement that we'd done was quite evidently gone. The midfield just wasn't as strong. But we actually did take the lead from a Barisic corner, beautifully put in, and the Croatian prince himself, big Nikola Katic, gets in the box, bangs it into the back of net, showing that he's a goal scoring threat. And when that ball went in, you could hear the crowd singing and cheering and going mental. But if you listen very closely, you heard every single person going on Twitter saying, he should be starting. All joking aside, big Katic ends up making it 2-1. But believe it or not, more Rangers things soon occurred. We sort of switched off from a quick free kick. I believe it was about a minute and a half after we scored. They end up hitting it in behind our defence. I love Gareth McAuley, but the man's not got an ounce of pace right at his head. Young Robbie McCrory, who is obviously in the goalkeeping position, came for the ball, retreated, leaving his position sort of open, and the Helsinki striker ends up curling it past him, and that made it actually 2-2, and it sort of killed the atmosphere in the crowd and sort of killed the atmosphere during the game because it got really, really slow after that. But there was one man that was just unwilling to play by friendly's rules, and his name is Daniel Candeias. Very briefly, I love the guy, like honestly. Everyone else is walking, doing wee sideways passing in the second half, like late on. Daniel Candeias is running 30 yards back the way, full pelt, putting challenges in to win goal kicks. I love the guy. There is a reason he is the reigning Rangers Player of the Year. The hard work, the effort. I honestly think they just sort of wind him up, right? Just let him go. He runs out the tunnel like Ultimate Warrior, and he's just on. And his hard work was eventually paid off because he scored the game winner to make it 3-2. Wasn't great goalkeeping, Cammy Bell-esque. Just sort of poor positionally, watched it going to the back of the net, but I don't care. That made it 3-2 to the famous, and that is going to be the end of today's fan recap in my personal opinion. What was your overall thoughts on the game? But now it's time to jump over to the people's opinion on Twitter and see what they've had to say. Again, there's going to be no man of the match ball because 23 players played in the game itself, so we're going to skip by that. It's a bit of a long one, a bit long-winded. First one in comes from Cairo Kearney. He says, Morelos is solo for me. Chris Lee says, can't play with two up top. Kent and Candeias can't be dropped from the wings. Far too crucial in my opinion. Only way would be 4-4-2, but means dropping Jack, Davis or Arfield. I'm not a fan of that. Headache for Gerrard for sure. Cafe Jordan says, none, was just a run out, but I enjoyed it. Missed Union Bears big time. Too quiet but good squad players. We are the people. Andrew Graham says, Worrell was terrible, easily turned and pulled all over the place. Lafferty still can't win a header at corners. Katic shows him how it's done. Andrew Corm says, didn't think the formation worked well defensively. There was a lot of gaps in the flanks that were easily exploited. Thought Candeias played very well and glad to see Katic on the score sheet. And the last one we'll read out comes from Bang! Callum says, defence in the first half was shite. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the people's had to say. I've had to say, have you? You know what to do by now. I just want to give the Patreons a shout out, by the way, because we are now up to 46 Patreons. That's absolutely incredible support, and there'll be more upgrades coming very, very soon if that continues. I've been Siege over 92. Thanks so much for watching, and bye.